Good morning. I'm Franklin Jago, and I'll be your worship leader for today. During the service, we recommend you have your Zoom screen set to speaker view. Common Ground is our celebration of worship for people of many paths who gather virtually to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. Pathways is a warm and open community where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome, regardless of ability, age, race, gender identity, or sexual orientation. If you are visiting with us today, we welcome you to our virtual service. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We would love to hear from you. To send us a note about your visit and get more information, you can email us at office@pathways.uu.org. We're so glad you're here with us. We hope that all who join us here today find this a safe place to worship. Our first announcement, you don't want to miss our special Mother's Day service brought to you by Marty and the Pathways family. It will be May 9th, next Sunday at 10 a.m. Please check our newsletter for all other announcements and information from Pathways. Happy Cinco de Mayo. This week we celebrate Cinco de Mayo. As we work to build a diverse and inclusive community here at Pathways, I invite you to join in celebrating our Mexican heritage by observing Cinco de Mayo. Let's watch this short video and get more informed about this day of celebration.
Cinco de Mayo, on 5th of May, is a commemoration of the victory of an outnumbered army of Mexicans over the French forces at the Battle of Puebla that took place May 5, 1862. The triumph of the Mexicans proved to the world that their will to defend their nation's sovereignty will prevail against a powerful foreign invader. It is often mistaken as Mexico's Independence Day, which, on the other hand, is celebrated every 16th of September. Though Cinco de Mayo has become a relatively minor event in Mexico today, the United States of America significantly celebrates it by highlighting the Mexican-American culture. Its significance to world history is more than about having a day dedicated to feasting on Mexican food, getting margarita happy, and wearing loud sombreros. So, to give you a better understanding of what Cinco de Mayo is all about, let's take you back to where and how it all began. The American Civil War, experienced by the Latinos. The early 1860s became witness. To that time, Mexico had become greatly indebted to France, Britain, and Spain as a result of the Mexican-American War and Reform War. Mexican President Benito Juárez suspended the payment of Mexico's foreign debts for 2 years, and only France turned down the notion of a negotiation. Napoleon III, then ruler of France, saw this as an opportunity to build the Second Mexican Empire in Mexico, with France reaping the benefits. During the later part of 1861, France's fleet attacked Veracruz and halted Juárez and his government. In May 1862, the French force led by General Charles de Lorentz attacked Mexico City, but were resisted by General Ignacio Zaragoza's strong-willed Mexican troops near Puebla de Los Angeles. 2,000 poorly equipped Mexican fighters stood against the 6,000 well-armed French men, known as the world's premier army. Nearly 500 French soldiers and fewer than 100 Mexicans had been killed in the battle that went on from dawn till dusk. Sensing the obvious defeat, the French forced retreat. Mexico's determination, unity, and patriotism won over France's brutal force. A much-needed morale boost not only to the Mexican army but to Mexico as a nation. There's so much to tell about what took place in Puebla, but what needs to be remembered has probably been forgotten by most of those who should be passing the story on. Mexico may have lost battles after that great victory, but Cinco de Mayo will always be a reminder to everyone that a grain of hope, no matter how small and insignificant to others, can make the impossible possible. Now that you know what you need to know, enjoy the Mexican feast. Down that shot of tequila and wear that Mexican sombrero loud and proud, because it is a happy Cinco de Mayo.
Our theme for this month is story. And this day gives us an opportunity to look further into that. Cinco de Mayo gives us an opportunity to not just focus on our close neighbor, Mexico, but all of the diverse members that make up the Latinx community. The music group for our opening song is a perfect example of this diversity. Our opening song this morning is Questeria, I'd Like by Flora de Toloche, featuring John Legend. Here is part of their story. Latin Grammy winners Flora de Toloche makes New York history as its first and only all-women mariachi group. Founded in 2008, they are led by singer Maria Ramos and co-founding member Cher Field. Reminiscent of the early days of mariachi, the group started as a trio, harp, violin, and vinhula. Today, Flor de Toloche members hail from diverse cultural backgrounds such as Mexico, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Australia, Colombia, Germany, Italy, and the United States. I've posted a link in the chat to their site. As we remain muted, please listen and enjoy as we celebrate our Latinx heritage through music.
Undocumented immigrants were arrested yesterday and
Hey, I'm not leaving yet.
Yes, is the check.
Yes, I know, but I'm not done yet.
Please, the check.
You don't even speak any English? El coffee, not done? I'm not paying till I finish my coffee.
Hey, lower your voice. The coffee's on the house. If you leave right now.
Okay, free coffee. I like that.
Quisiera ser el canto que te anima. Quisiera ser el rizo de tu pelo. Quisiera ser tu séptimo sentido. Quisiera ser el sueño de tu ombligo. Oh, quisiera. Oh. Quisiera que me hablaras cuando callas, o al menos ser el nudo en tu garganta. Quisiera ser la silla que te aguanta, tu zafacón de besos escondidos, y prender el alba y amasar la noche y salir contigo disfrazado de horizonte. Quisiera y tantas cosas más. Quisiera y tantas cosas más. Quisiera.
Quisiera ser el asa de tus ojos, el calcio que te dan tus vitaminas. cordón umbilical de tus zapatos y contar contigo y doblar las calles y sembrar guayaba y soñar con mil detalles, revelar tus ojos, celebrar tu nombre y salir contigo disfrazado de horizonte.
Quisiera y tantas cosas más quisiera. 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 Quisiera.
Quisiera.
Taken away, and they said that they've been living here for about.
And now our virtuous chalice lighting. As we virtually light our chalice this morning, please join me in listening to these words from poet Carmen Tafoya, San Antonio's poet laureate. This is from her book of poetry, This River Here, Poems of San Antonio. We've already posted a link in the chat for where you can find more information about all the Latinx poets and writers that we're using in the service today. And now here's Toya to read the poem.
Hi. Buenos dias, everybody. Fragile flames, alterous veils of my path-warmed house, older than our prayers, light is sacred sun rays, rich is scarred in ancient wood. Your votive one-day candles last well beyond twilight. Stubborn miracles on this inherited dark wool serape with stained balding fringe, still tipping stripes of life's most painful, hopeful colors.
Thank you, Toya. And now for our sacred promise. Love is a doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. And now our call to worship. Toya once again will read our call to worship to us.
Our call to worship today are words from author Gloria Anzaldúa, author of Borderlands La Frontera. In her highly influential work, Gloria Anzaldúa takes readers through the history and creation of Axlan and its place as a Chicano homeland. She tells it is both personal history and is an origin story of her people. She provides a timeline for the American occupation and surveys how Mexicans in the US were stripped of their power. She also reveals her own personal rebellion against the insistence of her culture and religion that she be subservient. And now some of her words. I will no longer be made to feel ashamed of existing. I will have my voice, Indian, Spanish, white. I will have my serpent's tongue, my woman's voice, my sexual voice, my poet's voice. I will overcome the tradition of silence.
Thank you, Toya. Our song for today, our worship song for today is by Imagine by John Legend. I'm sorry, John Lennon.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, or brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Our speaker for today is Sharon Herrera. Sharon is a veteran of the United States Air Force, consultant, owner of Shared Link LLC, founder and executive director of LGBTQ Saves, and serves as a leader in the LGBT community of Tarrant County. Sharon worked closely with many organizations, universities, and school districts to help further education on LGBTQ issues. She is one of the 12 Majora Padora's Legacy of Strong Latinas in Fort Worth, sits on KRA, KXT Community Advisory Board, Millwood Hospital, LGBTQ Advisory Council, and the 1012 Leadership Coalition, Community Coalition to acquire the former KKK auditorium in Fort Worth, Texas, and transform it into a center and museum for arts and community healing. Sharon lives in Fort Worth with her wife, Marcel. We'll have a link posted in the chat later on for LGBTQ saves. And now, here's Sharon.
Good morning, everyone. Beautiful song, beautiful service. Again, Sharon Herrera, whatever you're comfortable pronouncing. And what he meant to say in Spanish was mujeres poderosas. No worries. Powerful Latinas. I was selected as one of the 12 most powerful Latinas here in the city of Fort Worth. I don't know why, it just happened, okay? Anyway, I live in Fort Worth. I've been living here for 21 years. I was asked to come and speak a little bit about my organization and what I do here in the city of Fort Worth and my goal in life. My goal in life is to try to make this world a better place. I think we each have a duty to try to make this world a better place. And my number one goal is to save lives. So I'm going to see if I can share some of my PowerPoint, or we'll start up with the video. I want to share a video with you that I shared during all my presentations, just to give you a glimpse of what I do as a consultant when I do my LGBTQ 101 training. So take it away.
I think that people, it depends on what they grow up finding out. I think it's a choice later in life, but it depends on upbringing. When did you choose to be straight? That's a good call, man. I didn't choose to be. So born?
I don't know if people would choose to be gay, so I think it's a mixture, maybe possibly of, you know, of nature and nurture, so to speak, you know, and where their comfort level was all their life and everything.
When did you choose to be straight?
When did I choose? I don't know if it was a choice for me. I just was born that way.
Do you think it's the same for gay people?
I think so, probably. Yeah, I do.
That's not a choice at all, from their perspective.
Have you talked to anyone about it?
Sure, and they say there's differences in their brains. They're just born that way. If they were going to choose a lifestyle, that's not one they would have chosen. It's too difficult.
When did you choose to be straight?
I don't know, junior high, puberty, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So you remember making a choice?
I guess not really.
Do you think it's the same for gay people?
Probably, that they don't really choose, it just kind of happens.
I'm not sure if it's necessarily a choice, but at the same time, I'm not totally certain that you're born one way or another. I think it has a lot to do with development.
Did you decide your sexuality?
That's a good point. I don't think I did.
You think it's the same for gay people?
I don't know. You might have a very good point.
Born gay or choose to be gay? I think there are some of both. But I think someday they'll discover there's a genetic predisposition to homosexuality.
I just wonder if animals choose their sexuality. You know, I don't think they choose. I don't think humans choose.
Born gay. Absolutely. Okay. That's my opinion.
I think it's a bit of both, actually. I think that you feel it, or you're also, I think, confused and you're not sure. And so your environment just plays a big role in that.
When did you choose to be straight?
I don't know. Never thought about that.
Do you think it's the same for gay people?
Probably.
Do you think people are born gay or choose to be gay?
I would have to say they would choose to be gay.
When did you choose to be straight?
I never thought about it. I really didn't. I am who I am.
Do you think it's the same for gay people?
Maybe. Maybe that's true.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask each of you, born to be straight or born to be gay? Just kidding. I never ask my audiences those questions. But I've been sharing this video for probably about 7 years now, or 8 years since I've been doing these trainings. And it's a 13-year-old video, and it still stuns my audiences. It still has an effect on them because they start thinking about it and trying to process this. But anyway, just a video that I shared during my trainings. I'm gonna see if I can share some of my PowerPoint with you guys. Sure. Are you able to see my screen, Franklin?
Not yet. It's still
Not yet. Okay.
It's there now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Go. Can everyone see that first slide?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. This gives you a better glimpse of who I am, my soul, my heart. It's a powerful quote by this Holocaust survivor, and where it says, "I swear never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." I'm sure you guys have heard about the term, "don't burn your bridges." Is everybody familiar with that term? Yes. Well, I'm one of those people that will torch the bridge if it rights or wrong. My job's been threatened, my life's been threatened, but again, I go back to, I believe each and every one of us has a duty to make this world a better place somehow, some way. An older gentleman recently told me, "Sharon, slow down. It's going to be okay." Because I'm always going 24/7, 100 miles an hour. And he said, this is all going to take time. Whatever you're doing, don't stop, because you're planting seeds. He is 78 years old, African-American man. And he says, "I'm still waiting for the world to get better." That song, Imagine, has a huge impact on me. So I always tell people, if you're doing good in this world and trying to make it better, continue doing so, because you are making it better for someone, somewhere. Anyway, so let me continue with my slides. Let's see. This is my information, and you can email me, and you have my personal cell. You can text me for anything and everything that you may need. But most importantly, if you know of a child ages 12 to 24 that is suffering or contemplating suicide or being abused or being bullied, now you have a resource. And LGBTQ Saves, I started this organization in 2010. There were suicides in our nation, September 2010, back to back, of LGBTQ youth. And let me see if I can forward this slide to show you. These are the suicides in our nation in 2010 that triggered my own suicide attempt. I attempted suicide at the age of 16. I don't know if you guys are familiar. My closet was getting very dark. So they didn't have any resources. Again, I am 58 years old. So there was no Ellen, there was no Will and Grace, there was nothing. There was a show called Soap. Anybody familiar with the show Soap? Billy Crystal was the gay actor in it, and his own family made fun of him, and the family that I was watching the TV show was also making fun of him. So my closet continued to get darker. It was a Catholic priest that told me I was going to hell that finally led to my suicide attempt at the age of 16. But I'm sitting here in front of you and speaking to you because of an aunt that saved my life. And I was going to take my life with Drano. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Drano and for the saints, the unclogging of saints. There was no guns in the house. There was no drugs in the house that I knew of. So I figured Drano would do the trick. And because there was a little skeleton sign on the bottle with an X across of the skull. So I said, this is the way I'm going to take my life, because I can't go on being ridiculed or being made fun of, or being, society wasn't accepting, family wasn't accepting. I'm Latina, Catholic, again, no resources. The only thing I used to hear about were the clubs, and I wasn't old enough to be out there in the clubs. So when I was going to ingest my cup, a force stronger than myself, God, placed my aunt in my home. She didn't live with us. She lived down the street, but again, a strong force stronger than myself placed her in my life, and she knocked the cup out of my hand, and she said 7 words. 7 words that are the reason that I'm here. And those words were, I know, mija, you don't like boys. And that in itself lifted a tremendous weight off my shoulders. It is here later, after doing research and working with the LGBT community and learning more about it, I realize I understand now that it takes one adult, one affirming adult that can save a child's life, whether it's an aunt, a parent, a friend, a church person. It takes one person to save that child's life. So again, here I am here today because of that, because of my aunt. Anyway, these are the suicides that occurred in 2010. I work for a large school district, and I'm going to tell you what it is, Fort Worth ISD. So I knew what was going on in our school district. I knew about the bullying. Back in 2010, 2011, 2012, it was bullying kid on kid. But now what I see more is adultism. I see the abuse of from adults, the bullying from adults. We have a lot of educators. We have a lot of adults working with youth that really shouldn't be working with youth. And when I go around doing these trainings to teachers, probation officers, whoever's serving youth, I always tell them, especially our teachers, you are so powerful. You don't realize that in less than a year, you can ruin a child's life or light his life simply because of your beliefs, your everything that shouldn't be brought down to her. Kids come with enough chaos. We don't need to add to that chaos by being, mean. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, let me see what else I have here to share with you. I as a veteran, I share this story during my presentations. So at this time, I'm going to read to you a story of Seaman Schindler and what occurred in 1992. So I'm going to give you an easy project to do right now, and that is to close your eyes, but do not fall asleep on me. So Franklin, keep your eyes on them. Just kidding. Anyway, I'm going to read a story to you that I shared during my trainings. It's pretty powerful, but I feel that it needs to be shared and not forgotten. So here we go. Are we ready? You ready to close your eyes? Okay. He was found dying on the floor of a bathroom in a park in Salcedo, Japan. It was half an hour before midnight, October 27, 1992. His 4 countrymen in the shore patrol had come running up from about 175 yards, alerted by a seaman and a petty officer who had glimpsed part of the assault. 2 of the shore patrolmen went to search for the suspects. The 2 remaining turned to the sailor. He was unconscious, but still alive, gurgling up blood. His face was so disfigured, no one was sure of his race, much less his name. Patrolman Aptime got a pulse, then lost it. He wiped the blood out of the sailor's mouth with a t-shirt and pressed on his chest, trying to restore his heart. With each compression, blood trickled from the sailor's mouth and bubbled out of the gash of the bridge of his nose. He was 6'1", weighed about 180 pounds, and had blonde hair. To Seaman Witt, the eyewitness who had sounded the alarm, said it looked as if the sailor's nose had been shaven clean off his face. Witt cradled the man's head and stared at the tattoos on his arms. A crowd gathered. The ambulance arrived. A corpsman rushed up with a breathing bag. Another unloaded the gurney. The sailor wasn't breathing. His heart wasn't beating. Schneider, said one of the shore patrolmen, squinting at the military ID he'd found in the sailor's waist pack. Schulter. Schindler, cried Witt, suddenly remembering the tattoos. 2 nights earlier, Schindler had bought him a drink in Sailortown. It was 10 to midnight. The doctor ordered intravenous lines established and a tube inserted down the victim's trachea. No simple procedure given the trauma to the sailor's mouth and neck. The medical team worked for 19 minutes trying to get the sailor's heart to beat. All too soon, it was obvious that no one at the clinic could do anything to retrieve Schindler's life. At 9 minutes into the day, the doctor pronounced him dead. 2 days later, during a 6-hour autopsy at the U.S. Naval Hospital at Okinawa, this is Schindler's report. Suffered at least 4 fatal injuries to the head, chest, and abdomen. He had 8 broken ribs, fractures in the back of his skull and in the bones around his eyes. His nose was broken. His upper jaw was broken. The whole middle portion of his face was detached and floating loosely. There were bruises on his and cuts on the surface of his neck, head, and chest. There were bruises on his lungs, his heart, and his brain. The pericardial sac around his heart was filled with 250 milliliters of blood, enough to top off a juice glass. His liver had been torn to a pulp, like a tomato smashed up inside its cover. The impact of blows to his chest had torn his aorta. The bladder had been ripped open. His penis had been bruised and lacerated. There were sneaker tread marks stamped on his forehead and chest. The pattern of his t-shirt had been impressed on his skin. 7 months later, Commander Edward Cobain, the forensic pathologist at Okinawa, who had performed more than 1,000 autopsies, would testify that he had never seen a more severe beating. The sailor's injuries were worse than the damage to the person who had been stopped by a horse. They were similar to what might be sustained in a high-speed car crash or low-speed aircraft accident. Later, a naval public officer would call this a simple gay bashing. And you can open your eyes now. This is Stephen Schindler, a brother, a son, a cousin, an uncle, a nephew, a grandson, a neighbor, a human being. I share this story because I'm a former veteran and I served before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I never want to forget this soldier because of him, Clinton was able to start the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Wasn't the best policy because 13,000 soldiers were still kicked out after the policy. But again, I served my country for 4 years back in the 80s. And out of everything that's on my wall, my wife put everything on the wall that I didn't really want, but she wanted to show everything off. So that is what I'm proudest of, is having served my country in my honorable discharge. And but I served for 4 years because there was literally witch hunts when I served in the military. If somebody just pointed you out or said, hey, I saw Sharon at a gay club, or Sharon was hanging out with gay people, you were immediately kicked out. There was no process or anything like that. So, but because of this death, this killing, Don't Ask, Don't Tell started in the movement toward equality in the military. Once again, you know, of course, Obama lifted the ban, but now we're fighting again because of our transgender brothers and sisters. So any questions or comments on this? Okay, let's see, I don't think I have anything else on this one. I'm going to go ahead and, since we're up, and I don't want to get dunked down again. This is the aunt that saved my life, Aunt Margaret. She recently had a triple bypass, so I was in a panic for the month of April, and I crashed and burned because of my depression and my anxieties, but she is doing very well. She is already exercising, and I believe getting a second chance at least at life with a brand new heart, new valves and everything. So again, Aunt Margaret, and yes, that's me standing next to her. So, okay, the next video that we're going to share with you guys, Franklin, when you're ready, it'll give you a true glimpse of what our youth go through every day and why organizations like LGBTQ Saves are so important. Franklin, are you able to share that video? Any given Tuesday?
You're not able to see my screen. It should be
No.
shared.
That's okay. If you're sharing it, that's fine.
I think Sharon might have to stop sharing for Franklin to share, right?
Correct. We have to take this screen down.
Got it. If you can start it over, Franklin, that'd be great.
Start it over. Can everyone see this, the sharing now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is this who you are, son? Huh? Is this who you are, son? Wait. Faggot! Answer me!
are not this.
Upside down.
This is not you.
The waves of love.
You're our son.
Just
How can you do this to your mother and I?
down.
Disgusted with you.
Washed in its wake. I'm lost on wishes. Swim on down into the deep. Crash and burn in the depths of despair. Your hope for me flashed down the drain. Where am I? Upside down. The waves of life just crash me down. Tumbling round inside out. What the hell for? Why would life play this hand? Could you just care? Why don't you care? You'll push out the air, leave me nowhere. Earth's now broke, left to live, yet to die. Where am I? Upside down. Ooh, all this time I'm just tumbling round. Upside down. Come on, don't give up yet. That's all they say. I am on my way. I know I will wake. So just drown me now and spare me the pain. I'll jump on down, gone from this place, tumbling round, upside down. I am on my
Hey, kid!
way. I'll wake again. The right side up, deep toes on my back.
Again, this is just a glimpse of what our LGBTQ youth go through. I've got an uptick here recently. We have got a lot of calls from grandparents seeking help because their own children have kicked out their grandchildren for identifying as LGBTQ saves. LGBTQ Saves provides a lifeline chat. We have weekly meetings every Thursday. We have social events. We have fundraisers. We are a 100% donor-funded organization and hoping to apply for some grants. The ultimate goal for us is to have a drop-in center here in the city of Fort Worth. We are the 13th largest city in the city of Fort Worth, and we still don't have a resource for LGBTQ youth. Dallas does, Houston does, San Antonio does, Austin does, but Fort Worth does not. So I know you heard a little bit about the 1012 project in the former KK building here in the city of Fort Worth. There is also a lynching tour that I invite everyone to at least go and tour. The history of Fort Worth is rather dark, and there's a lot of secrets that are now coming to the surface. The former KKK building is located at the 1012 North Main, and it hosted the largest KKK organization in the nation at one time. We are transforming that building with the Ford Foundation, and hopefully we applied for a congressional grant. There are 7 organizations working to transform that building into an art and healing, community healing center. We will be housed in there once we attain the grants needed to transform it into what it needs to be here in the city of Fort Worth. My organization, like I said, I started it in 2010 on a patio of a house that I used to live at, just with an idea, and my goal was to save lives. And in 2011 and in 2012, because of the work along with Fairness Fort Worth, we were able to change the policies at Fort Worth ISD, be the first district in the state of Texas, I believe in the nation, to add LGBTQ policies to protect the staff and the youth. So like I said, I told you my job has been threatened because of that. I live open and authentically because I don't know who's watching, who needs that hope that it does get better. We work very closely with Tarleton State interns. They get all their hours through us. And just 2 years ago, I was telling Franklin that one of our interns came and found me at one of the events that we were doing, and specifically wanted to thank me because her son, her 27-year-old son, was contemplating and thinking about suicide. And because she served LGBTQ saves, he started listening and watching his mom, and realizing that she did love him unconditionally, and he was able to come out to her. And it was powerful. But those are the stories that I like to share, because we truly are saving lives, and we've been doing it since 2010. We are in our 11th year. Very small organization. We didn't become an official nonprofit till 2016, and we received our first $3,000 check to keep this mission going. And it was from a church, and people are so like, a church. I said, yeah, we have some cool churches down here in the DFW area. But like I said, we've been doing this for a long time, and like I said, we're a small organization. But despite COVID, we went from serving 20 to 25 youth to over 100. So yeah, we're in Connecticut, we're in Florida, we're in Oklahoma, Oregon, Iowa, and Idaho. And then I need to tell you this, I did not plan on going national. It was just here in Fort Worth. But because of COVID and kids being trapped at home and parents not having resources, we are, yeah, it's getting intense. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys know Tarleton State University. It is cooler than, I'm sorry, TCU and all the other universities, because they were the first that jumped on board 6 years ago, and they are working with us. And when I was asked to go to Stephenville and do my presentation, I was like, Stephenville, Texas, are you sure? And I went, and now we're married. We're side by side moving forward. My training is a 2.5 to 3 hour training. So I don't want to leave you I didn't mean to leave you so raw with what I did present. But like I said, it's a 2.5 to 3 hour training, because I like to do exercises. I like to connect the head and the heart, because I just don't want to feed your head. It's got to connect. So together we can make a difference and make this world a better place. So if you guys have any questions, I don't know what the next process is, Franklin, so take off. I don't know if I spoke too much or said too much, but just guide me.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for this information. It's very powerful and moving information that I know we here at Pathways care about. Your organization is one of the organizations that was sponsored. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll share my screen now. We'll move on to the next part of our service. Now I'd like to introduce Laura Lee to give us our last song and extinguish our virtual chalice. Oh, maybe we're having some technical issues. So our last song for today from our mariachi band is a medley.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, okay.
Okay, sorry. Yes, technical difficulties between the audio issues. So let me switch over to my screen. We'll listen to one more song from Flor de Toloache. They are described on their site as a band of sisters with a grace and vibrant beauty that casts a spell over their audiences. Not unlike the legendary Toloache flower still being used in Mexico as a love potion. While working to preserve centuries-old traditions of mariachi, their mixture of the traditional and the modern pushes the boundaries of the genre and brings mariachi music to new audiences. This one is called Blue Medley. Listen and disfruta, or enjoy.
Blue sky smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by when you're in love, my how time flies. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by when you're in love, my how time flies. Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies I see. esclava soy, negra nací, negra es mi color, negra es mi suerte, negra es mi color, seré negra para siempre, esclava soy, negra nací, esclava soy, negra nací, negra es mi color, negra es mi suerte, negra es mi color, seré negra para siempre.
And now, can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so we extinguish our virtual chalice flame with these words by Isabel Allende, a Chilean writer whose works sometimes contain aspects of the genre magical realism and is known for novels such as The House of the Spirits and City of Beasts. Here it comes. The names of persons and living creatures demand respect, because when we speak to them, we touch their heart and become a part of their life force.
Thank you, everyone. I hope that each of you on your individual path through the joys and questions of life found some common ground with your fellow travelers today. Our benediction for today, I'll leave you with some words from Elvia Alvarado, a Honduras activist and writer. Read her story, Don't Be Afraid, Gringo. A Honduras woman speaks from the heart. And these are her words. I don't think God says go to church and pray all day and everything will be fine. No, for me, God says, go out and make changes that need to be made, and I will be there to help you. Thank you again, Sharon, for sharing this wonderful and powerful story with us about your transformation and also of a whole community. And thank you everyone for being here today. Now, everyone feel free to unmute your mic and stick around for a visit.